how to draft a purchase contract for Brazilian real estate. Hello there, my name is Luciano Oliveira. I am a Brazilian attorney. Watch this video until the end to learn 3 of the most important clauses that should be present in your purchase agreement. Important to note that foreign citizens will have specific needs that are not common to Brazilian buyers. If the realtor in charge of your transaction is not truly familiar with foreign citizens, this realtor is not going to be able to help you get a purchase agreement that's going to address the specific requirements from a foreign citizen perspective. Our strategy when it comes to drafting purchase agreements is to actually ask the seller to provide the first version. The idea behind this choice is that instead of presenting a contract for the seller then to pick the clauses that they like and they don't, you're gonna get the draft from the seller and then you're gonna ask or change only the specific clauses that are gonna matter to you. Important to note, the contract must be in Portuguese. Some contracts, they are gonna be bilingual, but the commanding version is gonna be the Portuguese version. The contract must be in Brazilian currency. Although every now and then there is some type of contract in foreign currency, for instance US dollars, the contract is going to be settled at the exchange rate on the day of the signature, because again the contract must be based on Brazilian currency. Another main aspect of the purchase agreement is the timeline. It's very common for Brazilian realtors to push a very short timeline between signing the contract and the closing date. That may be okay for Brazilian buyers who are locals, who have all the documents that are going to be required for the closing and for the new deed at hand. But this is not common and this is not proper for foreign citizens who are going to need to provide documents that are going to need an apostille, that are going to need a sworn translation, that are going to need to be sent physically to Brazil through Federal Express, and all of that is going to take time. So the timeline for the purchase agreement between signing the contract and the closing date, it should be of at least 45 days. And if things move faster than 45 days, very well, you can close sooner. But the problem is, if you set up a 30-day timeline and you don't perform in 30 days, the seller may choose to charge you a stiff penalty, sometimes over 10% of the contract price. And believe, we saw that happening before. So be on the safe side and do not sign a contract with less than 45 days for you to perform. Now, as promised, the 3 clauses that you must have in every single purchase agreement, including a foreign citizen as a buyer, are: first clause, a promise by the seller that the seller is going to provide all the documents required for the currency exchange transaction. Sending money to Brazil is not easy and it requires a compliance by the receiving bank. So by having this clause in the agreement, you make sure that the seller is not going to refuse to provide one of the required documents. The second clause is the timeline clause, allowing you to perform in at least 45 days between signing the contract and the closing. For transactions of a higher amount or for buyers with very specific requirements, even a 60 to 90 day timeline may be advisable. Finally, if you're going to be signing this contract from abroad, there is a need for a specific clause addressing the signature by electronic signature. Otherwise, if the seller has a change of mind later on, they may just say that the contract is not valid because it was electronic signed and there was no provision saying that this was going to be bind. I know it sounds silly, but for every main contract signed between a foreign citizen and a Brazilian remotely, there's gotta be a clause addressing the electronic signature. And you're gonna find the text for these 3 specific clauses in the description below, so you can present to your attorney if you're not retaining our firm, and your attorney can incorporate these clauses in their their purchase agreement. I hope this video was helpful, and if it was, I'm gonna ask you to please like our video so other people can find this resource and follow us for more tips.